Alright, hey everybody, we are actually in the eye wall of a slightly stronger Ada. It is unbelievable. Whipping here.
This old job is always causing stress.
I'm tucking the truck here.
All I ever do is work. I don't get no rest.
Man, I got some video
First
footage.
night is on the way.
Crazy. Let me see if I can get outside.
Down in trouble walk.
You just wouldn't believe how much rock in the truck is. Oh shit.
Oh, me drunk donkey IPA. Let that magic mango chase my blues away.
We're in the eye of Ada here in Key Largo.
Among my friends.
Tremendous
I
amount
swear the page goes live.
coming in. Currently. I'm semi-protected here by my truck, so no worries, but semi-protected. I don't want to get the camera wet, and the trees beside me are completely sideways. I'm not sure what the gusts are, but definitely this is a tropical storm. I think we're seeing a little higher gusts. I got the back turned right now, and trying to keep the camera from getting wet. We're in Key Largo. We're in the eye of Ada.
All right, everybody. It's our Thursday song. Who's dancing? Thursday night's on the way. So good morning. What's up, everybody? We have tropics to talk about. Hoping my computer does good. It was acting a little weird, like it wanted to reboot this morning, but I went with my gut, and I said, nope, let's let it do its thing. Oh, Hunter, look at my little boy. He's like, oh, daddy. So good morning, everybody. This is Mike here, Mike's Writer Page. We are talking tropics, as we do every morning. I like that headline, Southeast Massachusetts. Hey, oh, you're gonna do the yawn thing now too, huh? He's trying to be like his brother. So Daily Brew here. This is Mike. We're coming to you live from Oldsmar, Florida, down in Tampa Bay area. We talk tropics and talk about scenarios and what's cooking. We got a little bit of buzz on Invest 97, but that's nothing to buzz about unless you live in Bermuda. We got to maybe worry about Invest 97 next week. So I'm going to talk all about Lee for a little bit and show you the latest. And Hunter's got something going on in his mouth. What are you doing, buddy? So really there's been a lot of changes. There's been a little bit of shifting back east again. Still some questions on if it's going to shift back to west again. It is weakening as expected. Huge system. I look like my dog. I know, I get that. I think I look more like Louie than I do Hunter. What do you think, buddy? All right, so let's talk about this Lee thing. What the heck's Lee, man? This is like the longest. I think everybody's just tired of talking about Lee. We have talked about Lee forever. It's like nobody even cares anymore. And if you look at the satellite, it's not that bad looking. It's still a, let's see what officially, I think it's still 100 mile an hour. Still a 100 mile an hour hurricane. I mean, it's still pretty dang strong. Definitely losing a little bit of punch. We'll talk about a storm chasing here in a little bit. It's been a rough morning. I thought I'd have it all booked by now. Emily's car didn't start. Oh, I was out there fixing it. Julie's dealing with stuff with the house, and oh man, it might not be his best interest. I don't know. All right, so let's say goodbye to Hunter. We'll say hello to some folks. What's up, Harold? Any potential impacts, like Lee is a nobody. I see that. All right, so our Daily Brew brought to you by our great friends at ABC. I already see y'all doing it for me. We love ABC, Fine Wine and Spirits, Thursday night. Living here in Florida. All you New Englanders, if you ever get down to Florida, you got to support ABC. They're big fans of ours, 5 years running now, and every Floridian knows about it. It is a storm supply depot because everybody loves a good hurricane party. I think there's people in Florida going to be having a hurricane party this weekend because Lee didn't come here. That to me is a great reason to go to ABC. Good point. Project Trawler. So this thing, one good thing about Lee, at this moment in time, Lee has churned up a lot of water. So soaking up them warm Atlantic, Western Atlantic waters is definitely going to be a good thing. Hopefully, if anything else future comes along, it will lose a little of that energy, but too soon to tell. I got radar up for Bermuda. Here's Bermuda radar. So, still passing west. They're going to get some stronger bands later. They're rotating in. Coming in from the southeast right now. So they're under a tropical storm warning right now. The main core of the system definitely passing off to the west. So good news for our good friends in Bermuda. That's right. Terry said there's none in Bermuda, but hey, they might ship there. You can put the message in the bottle, and I'll put it in the Gulf Stream, and you can pick it up on the way north. Michael Tab said surf picks and jacks. I guarantee it. There's a lot of surf in Florida right now, northward. This thing is humongous. Harold, what's up, buddy? Yeah, I know, man. Luckily, it was the battery. So I was able to use one of those little jump starters and get it moved so she could take my car. So, Jake, that was me. Cedar Key, I was right. I talked to them. You guys were, I think Gulfstar, they were wearing like yellow and black. Is that right? Yeah, that was me. Or I know, maybe I was behind. That was probably me, Jake. I was there. Cedar Key chasing Idalia. A lot of chit chat about, hey, Miss Shelley Ross, by the way. No live tonight, by the way. No matter what. Wherever I go, if I go, no live tonight. Huge waves in Satellite Beach, I believe it. So, what's up, Mr. Mike? Invest 97, nothing to worry about right now unless you live in Bermuda. We'll go over Invest 97. There's a lot of hype. So, when I posted this morning, there's a lot of buzz on 97. Then I posted the models, which I've already posted. Somebody said, then what's the buzz? And I said, because the buzz is everybody's worried about it. Yesterday's chat, every other comment, what about Invest 97? Well, because everybody's always shifts. Obviously, there's been a lot of hype about 97. There's been one or two models taking it to continental U.S. out of about 100. So that's the ones you see, and that gets everybody fired up. But so far, because the Bermuda high is broken down by Lee and Margot, Brian, huge swell coming in on Hatteras Island. That is the big question mark. I just read a marine discussion by National Weather Service out of Boston, talking about this huge energy being pushed up. Jake, I couldn't even get on the island. They wouldn't, or the Cedar Key. They wouldn't let me on. I was trying to name drop. Didn't work. I got turned around by the local sheriff. He didn't care who I was. No more 97. Don't worry about 97 unless you live in Bermuda. All right, let's talk about Lee. All right, Lee. All right, so this is Bermuda radar. Pretty good. I need to put the link up on the site. I'm going to add the link. Well, you all have radar there too, but so like I said, the core of it's going out. Luckily, the wind maps currently. Let's take a look at what's going on with our system. See if we can try to talk as long as I can talk before things crash. I should have rebooted. All right, so here's the current look. 9 a.m. This is the Euro. But there's your winds, there's your storms coming in, as expected, random storms. When it passes, you know, you might get some heavier ones later this afternoon as they come in from the south. So if you're Bermuda, as the storm goes north, you're going to start getting more from the south, coming up straight up at you. And the waves, you know, 25 foot, pretty hefty. So I'm sure you're getting pounded there on the seas or on the south side for sure. This is this afternoon, Thursday. And it'll slide by tonight. And by midnight, you're going to start getting stuff coming in from the southwest. It's always amazing to see how that happens. As the storm leaves and the winds change. So the winds right now are coming in from the southeast. Storm beside you, they come up from the south, and when it leaves you, it comes in from the southwest. So probably no north winds today at all from Bermuda, but by tomorrow it's long gone. So you got this, right? East winds or west winds tomorrow. You got this. All right. So the big question mark is this. All right. So still showing a 960 millibar pressure system. Let's talk about the latest first, and then we'll get into all the ifs, ands, or buts. Here's the latest chart from the NHC. So, still doing that little zigzag. Models have trended a little bit to the east, looking at like maybe even like a Bay of Fundy landfall, if there is such a thing as a landfall with this system, because it's going to be so wide and the eye is going to be humongous. Still got hurricane watches, half of Maine, tropical storm watches all the way down to the Connecticut, New York border. We might get warnings up maybe at 11 a.m. This thing slowed down a little bit last night, so it kind of delayed the warnings. Warnings get posted 36 hours out. So not expected to be anywhere but, you know, tomorrow 2 p.m., so it's not moving very fast. And by Saturday 2 p.m., you know, so your worst conditions, obviously, Friday night into Saturday. We got a high tide Saturday at noon. That's when things are going to start getting iffy. And then Sunday, you know, overnight, midnight time too. So, you know, a lot of folks at Bay of Fundy are wondering because midnight high tide for you all, that's when the big push of water is going to be coming in that direction. So all those little, you know, inlets and areas along Maine might get timing, might be bad timing for that high tide, midnight around noon on Sunday. So we got a high tide Saturday about noon, and then a high tide Sunday about midnight, Saturday night into Sunday morning. So big question. So I saw a great interview from a local meteorologist from Maine, and their big concern is obviously coastal impacts. They're saying this is, you know, compared to a pretty strong nor'easter, the winds, the low pressure, you know, they're expecting some pretty good coastal flooding. The big thing that I keep reading about with National Weather Service and others is the foliage. You know, winds of a strong type nor'easter, difference being is two things. One is the ground is extremely saturated right now. They've had nothing but rain the last 2 weeks up there. And the trees all have leaves on them, which means they're more like sails, and the winds are going to possibly bring down a lot of trees. That's been a concern I've heard from a lot of people, not just one person, and I even read it on National Weather Service site. So that's going to be the big unknown. It's, you know, nor'easters, the trees are bare, not a lot of saturation in the ground. That's what they don't know. So that's a big concern. Power outages, they think that could be the big story, along with obviously coastal impacts. Yeah, I posted the seas map. I'll show you here in a minute. Still got Cape Cod winds, Boston winds, big time, because this thing's going to be expanding. Going to be merging with that frontal line that's coming down. Speaking of that frontal line, you guys got like 50s and 60s for the East Coast Saturday night. It's going to be like, what? Like the first real cold front of the year. So, calm down. Why's anybody worked up? Oh, let's see. Florida not going to get any of this. Florida, what are you talking about? Florida's going to get waves. They're getting waves now. There's a lot of red flag warnings up and down the whole Florida coast. But look, I mean, look how far away it is. I mean, come on. Wind, though. You know, here's the wave map currently. And there you go. So there's your wave map. You know, as expected, it's a pretty high surf popping into that Florida East Coast all the way up. The whole eastern seaboard already starting to feel the waves this morning. This is Thursday. So big surf across Florida. That's about it. Now we do have that front coming down this weekend. So there's going to be rain in the forecast for a lot of folks, because there is that front coming down, which got a hurricane in the northeast, and you got a cold front coming in that's going to bring cooler weather for most. It doesn't look like it's going to reach Florida like I teased last week. Maybe some 60s in the panhandle. There is nothing else to watch. Patience. I had everybody always say, patience, grasshopper. What's up, Mr. Ian? Jamaica looking good. Coastal flood warnings in OBX, I believe it. So here's this wind map as Lee goes by tonight. Really going to get some big waves across the Carolinas tonight. Some of these, you know, let's see. These are I don't know if they're significant wave heights or actual wave heights, but nonetheless, big waves, winds driven in. So this is tonight. This is going to be a lot of coastal issues across OBX. And of course, as we go tomorrow, noontime, there's already been some advisories for Long Island. You know, we got waves pushing into Jersey. Then the big stuff really gets going here on Saturday, overnight Friday into Saturday. They're worried about the beaches, of course, the National Seashore and Cape Cod. We're going to start to see the waves hitting Nova Scotia. This is Saturday, 2 a.m. There's that little zigzag. So, you know, the Euro is still predicting a 960 millibar system. I was chit-chatting with a local captain up there. I was so grateful of him on X. You know, he's concerned about the waves in that area. He agrees the pressure is not a normal nor'easter pressure. Low pressures mean big waves, you know, tight gradients. So I still think the big unknown from what I've been doing all these years is the low pressure is going to be interesting to see, you know, what it does. I mean, 960 millibar is still pretty low. I mean, most nor'easters are in the 990 range, 980 maybe for a really strong one. I think the storm of the century was 972, right? So they're not predicting that, but that's still low pressure. So these waves are going to do, you know, we got surge watches up. We're going to probably have warnings up as this water piles in here. You know, strong winds are going to be pushing towards Cape Cod northward. This is Saturday, 10 a.m. Remember, high tide's about noon on Saturday. So all this area here, we'll be getting it first because of the winds coming in. Now, the second push of water is the storm itself, just generally pushing water with it north. Of course, I don't know enough history about the Bay of Fundy to tell you, but, you know, it's very rare to have any system, tropical or not, like go into the Bay of Fundy. So all this water pushing north. And, you know, Obviously, Nova Scotia side going to get a lot of waves too across the Halifax down towards the western tip there. So, nothing's really changed other than a little shift east overnight on most of the models. We still have ensembles that are showing, but really good consensus now that this thing, isn't going any more west. How about that? Now they're talking about the big wide effects, the wind field, let's see, that's the icon. Just the overall size of this thing. The thing, when this passes Cape Cod, they're still showing gusts 60 plus possible. They're expecting power outages, flooding across Cape Cod. This is Friday night into Saturday. So some still strong winds showing up. Even though this thing bounced a little bit east, still going to be a big weather story for Cape Cod, especially along the beaches there and where the surge area is at. So that has not changed. And of course, we got a hurricane watch up for Maine. And listening to the gentleman up in the Maine, I think he was in Bangor maybe. They're expecting significant power loss and flooding. We got a new weather map. I just added this up. This is from the National Hurricane Center. So they did increase the rains here to 4 to 6 inches yellow. We didn't have yellow yesterday. 2 to 4 here across a large chunk down through Boston. So this is rainfall. Most of this is Friday, Saturday. But heavy rain. Got some flood potential now showing up too. Flood potential map is on the National Hurricane Center site. It right there. So, half of Maine under a yellow slight risk of flash flooding. Peak surge hasn't changed. The highest totals 2 to 4 feet here. Piling in. This is because that water is going to be coming around with those big winds and waves. 1 to 3 foot across the whole Maine seaboard there. We got a new moon today, so tide values are going to be a little higher than normal. We can still have 1 to 2 feet across Long Island, 1 to 3 foot Long Island Sound. So there's going to be some sneaky flooding going on. You can count on it. This thing's pushing a lot of water. It's big. It's still a big storm. I put some links up here. Maine EOC, Massachusetts EOC, New Hampshire EOC, by the way, if you want to know individual information about your areas. So we got a hurricane evacuation dashboard, energy assistance resources. Let's see what the evacuation. They got evacuations in Maine. This is your zone. So anyway, if you live in Maine, then this is a good tool. Kind of tells you if you're under any evacuations yet or not. So we got purple there. What's purple mean? Purple. Not sure purple. This might be an interactive National Weather Service site. Oh man, we got all kinds of this is confusing me. Oh god, just tell me if I got to evacuate or not. Anyway, but hey, it's the main hurricane evacuation dashboard. So click anywhere to interact, but I can't click on it. Anyway, all right. Well, anyway, I got all that up. I got Connecticut, or Massachusetts, that is, and you can see activation levels. So, hopefully it's some tools to help you. All right, let's look at some models here from Lee, and then we'll get into anything else. Here, let me read you this real quick. So, Hurricane Center comes out with key messages every 6 hours. These we'll have new ones here in about an hour and a half. Hurricane conditions, coastal flooding, or possible portions of eastern Maine, southern New Brunswick, western Nova Scotia. Heavy rainfall, tropical storm conditions that are possible across New England and Atlantic Canada. Potential for life-threatening storm surge in portions of the southeast Massachusetts, including Cape Cod and Nantucket, late Friday night and Saturday. So, these might go to warnings at 11, which changes things. Your phones are going to all go off. So, hey, let me tell you a little something about it. If you live up, if you live up there in New England, this is like the first hurricane watch in Maine I heard in 15 years. Is that the truth? I think it is. They did do this last time. So when there's a warning, everybody's phones goes off down here at least. I don't know if they will up there or not, but if they issue any warnings, all of a sudden everybody's phones at the same time down here go off. You can hear it like everywhere. All right. Eric, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not that. It's just I'm over it. I tell you, Jim Cantori. Joe Harrison, no idea where Jim Cantori's going. Joe, guess what? Best model for lead was not the Euro. I can tell you that much. The Euro had a big west swing. So I think the GFS and the Canadian is impressing me more and more and more and more. Canadian did really good. GFS did not do too bad. Maybe it's getting smarter. I know they keep changing it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. Boston. My best advice is this at this point. Click on this National Weather Service map here. Boston's got their own weather service that updates frequently. Here's latest winds expected. Up to 60 miles an hour across the Cape and the islands. Rain, winds. Tropical storm. Local hurricane, local statements. You click on the orange area here, and you can really get an idea what they're talking about. With winds. Well, what's weird though? Listen to this. Saturday night it's going to be 55 degrees in Boston. So it's not very common. We're talking about a tropical storm with 55 degree temperatures. If I do go up there, I was thinking, Shelly, I better bring some pants because it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold for this old boy. So I've had a lot of locals chiming in, messaging me. Let me put up another map here real quick about different areas, what to expect. And, a lot of folks are, talking about it as a, strong nor'easter. Like I said before, there's a lot of unknowns with the trees and the saturation we already have. So I think power outages are going to be the number one biggie threat. We just saw bad weather in Boston yesterday with a tornado and flooding, right? So they already got wet grounds, and so it's any amount of rain coming is going to be a big story, localized. Doesn't sound like much, but here's your latest rain forecast. 2 to 4 inches. Isolated, we could have some more. We get that rain train going in where you get one of these rotating feeder bands, and we could definitely have isolated more than that. But so all this area here is prone to flood. I told one lady that I would print her email. I'm not going to read it all, but she reminded me how to say Situate. Situate right here. Basically, somewhere about right there. So this is Boston. But this whole area, historically, does pretty bad during a strong nor'easter. There's some festivals going on up there. One called the Plum Fest, which is I can't remember if it was north of Boston or not. I made a note about it. But anyway, this whole area, this is where we have our surge watch, what could turn into a warning, because all this water is going to pile up here, especially here coming in off of the southeast. So the storm, one thing to note too, the storm's still going to be pretty strong right here. It's still expected to be a hurricane, so it's going to be pushing hurricane force winds and conditions northward, when it's here. So as the storm approaches, it's still decent sized little hurricane. Not any major, but it's rare. So we're gonna have these, large bands reaching this area well out ahead of our system. And again, we talked about it before. The angle is so different compared to other systems. Normally nor'easters come off and do that. This is coming in at a different angle. So really going to be interesting. I know we get, different effects with winds, but it'll be really interesting to see the effects here first, and then secondly, the effects with all this water being pushed up out ahead. So there's definitely two different areas to watch as far as water goes with our system. And you can tell, it's big. Let's take a look at it. So it's got some dry air, which is expected. But it's also firing up still firing up some good convection. So it's not going to just disappear. Here you go. So there's the overall look. Here's the center. Obviously, you're getting some big storms around the center, still firing. Still 100-mile-an-hour hurricane. You can't take that away from it. Here's a water vapor loop. You can see how the dry air trying to come in around the south side of it. Here's that frontal line. So not really that much dry air. You see a couple pockets here, which you can see on satellite visible. You start to see this dry air kind of sneak into the picture a little bit, but it's still freaking massive. It's going to be interesting. Still a hurricane. Tornado, Cindy, good question. We just had a tornado yesterday. So you have to say yes. Any feeder band's going to be strong. We saw a lot of lightning yesterday with daytime heating, so we'll watch these feeder bands today. There's always a risk. That's a good question. I don't know if I've really heard. The SPC is not really showing much, so maybe with that cool air coming down, I don't think it's as much as other storms, put it to you that way. According to SPC, no, at all. So maybe very little. Glad you asked, but no, just going by SPC, here's tomorrow, Friday, and then Saturday, not even green, so hopefully not. Murray wants to know concerns for Cape Cod. Yes, they're talking about power outages, flooding, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Worried about surge. Could be a surge warning coming out at 11. So 2 to 4 foot there piling up in the bay. So, yeah. Anyway, all right. So, yeah. Tornado prone. A lot of it's the cooler waters. The gentleman I listened to today, they're really worried about power outages. I guess that area loses power a lot, especially in Maine, right? So the big difference between this and a nor'easter, we'll see if it plays out or not. A lot of people are just saying it's a nor'easter, get over it. Hey, you guys know your area a lot better than I do. But I do know they're worried about the ground being saturated and the fact that trees have leaves on them, which acts like a wall. The wind can't go through the trees like they do in the wintertime. So that's the big question. I don't think anybody really knows the answer to, is what does 60-mile-an-hour winds do to trees that normally have an open path through them, and now they don't. So Stephanie says some of the beaches on Long Island are closed due to flooding already. I believe it. So, you're welcome, Yolanda. Yep. Rain totals underreported, Anthony. That's a good question too. I think they're a little low. I don't. No. I agree they're low. Not that I think that they're low. Just let's look at some rain totals from the Euro. It might be that frontal line dry air. The front's pulling out. I think the big difference between this and a nor'easter is tied up with the frontal line. This one, the frontal line's pulling out a little bit, so there might be less moisture to work with than a normal type setup. So let's see here. Total precip. Let's see what we got. Oh, and I should probably close some windows. All right, so here's the Euro. Nothing too bad. I mean, it's consistent with what they're reporting. Heavy rains across Cape Cod. Could get 3, 4, 5, 6 inches across Cape Cod. Heaviest is going to be eastern Maine. So we usually look at models to support rainfall. And in the past, when rainfall was underpredicted, modeling showed differently, but I haven't seen the big rainfall totals hardly from anyone. So I think it's very accurate. So they're tip of Cape Cod for sure, maybe up into Boston some, but then the heaviest rain is obviously still eastern part of Maine, and that's where they got the flood potential. So I think it's pretty accurate. Yes. All right. Let's look at tropical tidbits here. I want to look at these pressures. So let's kind of examine the pressure. So my number one question mark is still these pressures and what ultimately ends up happening in that area as far as winds go and waves go. So we're going to tropical tidbits. We'll look at the latest pressures, 10-meter winds. Make sure I'm on 10-meter winds here. All right, so the latest GFS showing, this is 6Z. There's that zigzag up towards the Bay of Fundy. 961, 961, 963, 970 when it makes landfall. So the difference from yesterday to today is this. So that purple is pretty much could still be hurricane force winds. That's still pretty darn strong. 961 showing surface winds, hurricane force, I believe. So, this is Saturday morning. System has sped up a little bit. One concern they had in Upper Maine was if the system did speed up a little bit, it would push that water a little bit more and reach that high tide around Saturday at noon. So this is Saturday morning. Big winds for Nova Scotia. Some weakening as it enters that Bay of Fundy there. But still big winds up into the bay. I know we got some followers up in that neck of the woods too. So, and of course, here's these possible hurricane winds for Maine. Still showing on the GFS. 963 pressure. This is Saturday midday. Latest Euro 6Z came out, and it's a little bit, maybe just a tick more west. There's 958 pressure. There's some of these strong winds Saturday morning for Cape Cod. Could be pretty gusty according to this one. Purple's, of course, stronger, but that's still 958 pressure. Man, I'm telling you. 961, 965. Heavy winds across Nova Scotia. Heavy winds up here coming into Maine. Remember, the strongest winds definitely are on that northeast side. Moisture or not, they'll have a clear path up into Nova Scotia. Once this system actually starts getting closer to Maine, we'll start losing the effects towards the what do you call it? Western Gulf of Maine, because once the winds are, once your center's past you, the winds start coming down across and they're not as strong. So the strongest winds for above the storm are definitely before the storm gets horizontal with you. So those winds are going to be late Friday night into Saturday. The biggest threat for, right here. So the latest Canadian 967. Still got a wide wind field. So close to Cape Cod. I'm telling you, man, a little 10-mile wiggle, you got a lot more, winds. Waves, regardless, are going to be pushing in. So that's the big concern, especially across the seashore there. And that was taking it almost into the bay, a little bit more east. Our H Wharf, which is really good on intensity, 959 right off the coast of the Cape there. And it takes it almost into the border there, Maine and Canada. 965, 961. Still low. These are your surface winds. So the overall thinking is the farther north this goes, surface winds now are less cooler water maybe, but still low pressure. It's going to be really interesting. All right, HAFSA, let's see, 961, 963, B, 961 right off the coast of the Cape, and 970 right there. So that has not changed, man. Low 960s. So that's the big thing. I think now it's coming down to, wiggles, wobbles. Our latest ensemble maps showing you all the ensembles, pretty much ruling out too much confidence on this thing, obviously hitting New England, but keeping these wiggles and wobbles in play for Maine are definitely still on the plate. There's Maine. Well, actually about right there, actually. There's Maine, because it kind of comes down a little bit. So there's still quite a few here, And, if we do get a track here, less effects. We get a track here, a lot more effects. So, it's still nothing set in stone. It slows down a little bit, then it might have a little bit more chance to wiggle. You can see how zigzag, that zigzag has been showing up. Zigzag, zig. And that's all. It's all because that front's pulled out a little bit and high pressure is built in. Then we have another little surge here pushing it. But interesting, right? So let's see what else we can look at. So we do have some heavy rain coming down to Florida. I was surprised. If you guys are curious, that front is coming down. So it could up some rain totals this weekend for a lot of folks. Here's what it looks like today. Here is Friday, Saturday. Just kind of lingers. Sunday, Monday. Then this is the last front that kind of pushes Lee back out to the northeast. This is on Monday. So that front lingers. This is the front now, kind of lingering. That's why our rain chances are up across Texas, and which is welcoming, right? Everybody in the Panhandle was like, when are we going to get rain again, Louisiana? So this is a droopy front to help lift Lee northward. It's lingering today. It's going to linger tomorrow. It's going to linger Saturday. So look at that Texas rains. I know you're loving it. And then Sunday, that next front line comes down and pushes it out of here. And there's Monday. And Tuesday. So look at that, man. Rain chances are, look at that front just hanging out. That front line is just hanging out all the way to September 21st. So look at that. No more dry days across the southeast as that front line lingers. Linger. Here's today, front line. Here's tomorrow, lingering front. Here is Saturday, lingering front. And then Sunday, lingering low. Monday, lingering low. Tuesday, lingering low. That's crazy. Look at this. Wednesday, lingering low. So, man, look at. So, rain chances are up for the southeast as the front just stalls out. Good, right? That means my mums are going to be happy. Mike wants to know about Daytona. Cocoa Beach 8-foot waves right now. Kenneth, correct. You know, it looks like rain. I get so wrapped up in this Lee, I haven't really followed general weather, and I was actually looking at this weekend's forecast for home, and I'm like, what? So yeah, look at the rain forecast coming. Let's look at the southeast. Southeast. And that's a lot of rain. Look at that. That's all the way through next Tuesday. That's only 5. Wait a minute. That's a Tuesday. Yeah. Oof. That's worth posting there. That's rainfall through next Thursday. So who's getting the rain? South Georgia and Florida. That's a lot of rain coming. It's not all at one dousing, but at least there's chances of rain, right? I don't think have we had a normal summer? Have we had a normal summer? I don't. Where's our thunderstorms? Like what's happened to the afternoon thunderstorms we used to get? Like I don't even know if they exist anymore. Texas, look at you all. That front droops through Texas. That's rainfall for Texas for the next 7 days. Not high totals, but I'm seeing 3-4 inches for some spots. Y'all know y'all need it. Look at the drought map. Drought map is unbelievable right now for Texas. Look at that. So and Louisiana. So look at that. Good news, right? Mother Nature evening things out. So Texas can definitely use some rain in South Louisiana there. Let me close some windows here. So there you go. That doesn't really help Louisiana, but it's going to help Texas. Check out these temperatures. Temperatures are on like Florida's closed. We don't get the front. I thought we were going to get colder weather, but we didn't. It didn't. And the first cold front of the year always teases Florida. Originally they show it, and then they take it away. So it doesn't look like we're going to get it. But what we are going to get is a white screen. All right. So here is Friday. Look at this. We're already seeing 40s. Did you see it in Minnesota? They were in the 20s and 30s in spots. We already had snow at Pikes Peak. Winter's coming. Here's 50s across Tennessee. Now look at Saturday. 50s down in the coastal South Carolina. So we're going to have a hurricane. We're going to have a hurricane off to the east. And we're going to have 40s and 50s along the coast here. 69 maybe touching Florida. Maybe Mobile. Low 70s. It ain't really there yet. Now let's look at Sunday. Sunday. About the same. Maybe a little more. No. Maybe 69. Maybe a 69 here and there. But hey. Saturday night. Boom. Saturday night. 50s across all of North Carolina, South Carolina. Gotta love that, right? Pretty cool, man. Literally pretty cool. Oh, man. Tornadoes. Very low risk of tornado, Michelle. Cold chasing, Mike Soul says. Let's go cold chasing. Bay Harbor. What do y'all think? Anybody local that way? I did have an email that said a couple people agree that nobody's really paying attention to it. Mainly because, you're used to nor'easters. I get it. But it is rare. Very rare. I think I read Maine's last hurricane watch was 15 years ago. So. Oh, Kenneth, yep. Flow's been west to east tremendously. That's because of that high pressure. We had a locked in high pressure over that Gulf like the whole year, right? That's why we had dry conditions across west coast of Florida, and that's why we had those extremely hot water temps. Oh, Bar Harbor. Did I say Bay? Yeah, Donna. Sorry, I'm trying to learn. Andrew, someone on YouTube posted that comment. So, and listen, I'm not gonna mess the names up anymore. Situate. So this email I got, they were worried about Plum Island, which is close to Boston, Salisbury side, right? Shell, you live in that area, right? Salisbury, you said. There's a lot of neighborhoods up there I saw. So yeah. So anyway, I said it right, Susan. Cool. LA Key said they used to summer in Bar Harbor. I just like the first part of the name. Kyle, typically El Nino brings a lot more moisture to the south. Definitely brings a lot more storms to the southeast because of the jet stream and frontal lines. Anytime you get the jet stream dipping south, you get more severe weather coming up from that Gulf of Mexico. So could bring more rain to the south. Hopefully Texas, but definitely storms for southeast and especially strong storms for Florida. Kathy, storm surge is not showing up very bad. Bar Harbor. Salem. What does that mean? I lives on the water. Is that a joke? Mike, you're getting wood, buddy. I love it. No pictures. Here's a current surge map, by the way. So those wave maps are deceiving. People get worried when I post the wave maps, but they are what they are, Surge is the abnormal rise of water due to a storm. Doesn't account for waves on top of the surge. It's very interesting, right? You got surge, then you have waves. That to me is the big unknown. I really. Here's a new GFS waves map, by the way. Let's take a look at this. Oh, here's the East Coast. Here is what the GFS is showing on waves. I gotta go fix Emily's car, darn it. All right, so these are significant wave heights. Different. These are like the highest, lowest waves. I don't know. There's a definition for significant waves. But, as this approaches, obviously Nova Scotia now with this little shift east. But these waves still showing 20, 25 feet here in the Gulf of Maine on Saturday with a direction, north, west, west. Let me show you the Euro. Same thing on significant wave heights. The definition of significant wave heights, what? Lowest 1/3 of the worst wave or something? What? It's different. I looked it up again today. I'm always trying to define the two. So, average height of the 1/3 highest waves. I like this one better. I like the one that just tells you the biggest one without having to think about it. So, they just have a maximum height, which is different. This one combines the highest wave possible. It's more dramatic, but still, you get the point. I mean, smack dab right here, touching Cape Cod there, I'm not going to say 40, 45, but that's what the maximum height wave could be. That's not surge. But any winds pushing that water, gets added to the surge levels, and that's the concern up here at all these little harbors and inlets is that surge coming up with these waves. I wish I had this map on a nor'easter. I'd love to see the comparison of what it predicted on a strong nor'easter. What, can you go back in time? I wonder if I can go back. I wonder how long. I could Google. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We'll know soon enough. All right, so don't lose my khakis. What's that? My pants. Oh, Panhead! I got a new fan. That's great. Peabody. I'd say Peabody. Bangor, Maine. I would love to go there. It's hard to find flights. Plum Island. That would be a cool place. That lady wrote me an email. It looked really good. Robert, I'm really curious. 11. I would think we're going to see warnings because Friday night's tomorrow. So yeah, it'd be curious to see if we get any warnings listed here at 11 o'clock advisory. All right, so before I lose anybody, there's two things. Long range tropics watching. This is a map that came out, and I can't really find anything yet. But the end of September, this model's predicting, or Global Tropics Hazards Map folks from NOAA are predicting that we could have general low pressures that appears on the Pacific or the Gulf. Kind of like a CAG setup we talk about all the time. So they highlighted this, around a 20% chance of a place to watch. There's nothing definite. Long-range modeling isn't really showing anything. So just pointed out, this model is right. Sometimes it's wrong sometimes. And they're still showing waves across Atlantic. So, there's just nothing definite with this. Now, the other area that everybody's hyping up is Invest 97. So, Invest 97 is this little one right here. It's red. Right there. 90% chance could be Nigel. Look at the track. Unfortunately, that little dot right there is Bermuda. So far, because the Atlantic has so much stuff going on in it, we don't have a strong Bermuda high right now. So history would tell you that this is probably going to eventually curve because we don't really have a strong high pressure system that's usually dominant, that drives these things. So that's not there. But spaghetti models showing the curve starting to. Here's tropical tidbits. Starting to show that little curve at the end. A little longer range out, curve at the end. Let me show you, though, what the operational models are showing, because we have a lot of people that watch this in Bermuda. So I'm definitely a little intrigued by the consistency here on next week. So here's next Wednesday, Thursday. Really close there before it turns. Latest Euro. Kind of right over top, 961. Not too strong, but you know how that goes. And the Euro's kind of curving, kind of doing its thing. Another wave coming off behind, but this is Invest 97. Everybody's worked up about. Canadian model, same thing. Maybe getting close up there again. Could be, but that's yet to be seen. But in the short term, obviously, we're looking over Bermuda next Thursday, next Friday. Here's that low pressure maybe area starting to set up here in the Central America. Might be, general low pressures areas. Once you start getting low pressure areas, then you start to say, there could be a little something. I mean, there's GFS. We don't care about the GFS, but generally we're looking at the lower end pressures. 10 days out, you can start to see them drop. See the difference? This is what happened last time when we got Idalia. So here's this weekend, high pressure is in orange, and 10 days from now, we're just generally getting lowering pressure. So I think that's why that map's highlighting potential, because we're getting lowering pressures. And anytime you get lowering pressures, it's easier for tropical systems to get going. Nor'easter. Pocky Ka. And what really defines the chances of this thing not coming to the continental U.S., possibly reaching Bermuda, still consistent with yesterday, the 10-day model ensemble plot. Every 51 members is showing a recurve. Somewhere under all this mess is Bermuda. Go out 15 days, which you rarely do, but still 15 days from now, 51 Euro members are not having Invest 97 come close to the continental U.S. And there's really nothing showing up here yet. Got a little bit of activity here off the Pacific, but that's your 15-day map. There's another wave coming off behind it, but, you know, as far as most everybody that's watching us, this is quiet. We'll see if it pans out. But it's good to see as we lead into peak September, which is typically could have some bad ones. Tropical Atlantic going out way far now. 288 days. Not really seeing anything, so starting to see maybe that wave, but this is Invest 97, so 10 days out, pretty confident. We'll see if they change, but there's really nothing pointing this way as far as tropics goes. So I'm not going to make anything up. You know, I know I swear I get people get mad when things are slow. You know, they're like, you got a little storm cloud heading toward Bermuda right now. Look at that little guy. See a little lightning? Watch. Here's Bermuda. You got an incoming storm coming your way. Look at that. Little guy right there coming in off of the southeast of you. So it's still fascinating to watch. I just think people are tired of it. Quiet with a K. El Nino, Lance, great question. Typically, it does help the Caribbean stay quiet. I mean, typically, El Nino has a lot of wind shear coming across the Pacific there. So far this season, if you look at the seasonal map, it's kind of has that classic look that we looked at a lot preseason. Really nothing shut down. That's usually, looking back at history, Idalia is kind of where Michael started. You know, we showed 18 a lot comparing this season to last season. And what the hell storm was that? I can't remember now. 27. That was Franklin. Oh, it's Franklin's on there. Oh, Franklin. Yeah, so that's your map for the year so far. Anything else cooking? John, I just saw your comment. I only see a few at a time. Does a weakening tropical system get affected differently? I've seen it more affected in the lower Caribbean. Weakening systems are more affected by the lower level winds. Those trade winds usually, when you say weaker goes west, typically a weaker system is more influenced by the lower level winds, and that's what pushes them more westward. So you see that a lot in the lower Caribbean and Atlantic. You know, if a system stays weak, it doesn't get influenced a lot by the upper air patterns. So with a front like this, if anything, it would probably just get absorbed into the front. You know, and that's why the system becomes just a bigger front if a system weakens with it. Plenty of surfers are going to be happy, Paige. There's a lot of surf out there. So El Nino. Yeah, I'll do more El Nino when we get back to things. Leisha says Halloween decorations. I know I'm so excited. I got 2 scarecrows over here. So what I've learned, I put out the fall stuff from October after Halloween to Thanksgiving. So I try to do it like end of September, so I have the whole month of October for Halloween. This year, because of Talladega, I might wait till we get home. And then I like to put the fall stuff out for after Halloween to Thanksgiving. Then I got to put the Christmas stuff out. Geez, that's a lot of decorations, man. Every year, the biggest thing I dread every year is going in the attic and pulling down Christmas. Because it seems like every year we buy more stuff. I got the clown, Mary. Yep. I got the box. I opened up the front door yesterday. I got a new inverter I wanted for my travel, little smaller, skinnier 4 USB. Man, these rental cars, when I rent a rental car, man, some of these cars only have 1 USB in it. I'm like, are you kidding me? My Silverado's got about, I probably have 4 or 5, 7, at least 16 USPs, and they're all used. I mean, they're charging everything, running everything, you know. Yeah, so how the heck do you get away with no USB? So anyway, I got a little cool little power. But anyway, when I opened the door, I saw a big box, and I'm like, what is this big box? And it turned out it was my clown. So, yeah, I know, Shelly. It's not, I blame it on Julie. Yeah, it's always fun. It's my yearly exercise, like hard exercise, going up down those damn stairs. My number one reason to keep my weight maintained is because I need to be able to go up and down that ladder. The drone, Eric, I flew it. Oh, unbelievable! Just a total different feel. I think it's because of this the remote. I got one with a screen in it. I'm so glad, because trying to use my phone, and it's the phone that I post with, and then the phone gets wet or whatever, takes battery. So this has got the screen, which I love, and all this controls are similar to my DJI. I mean, the yoke and the camera and the zoom, and so far so good. It's a little bigger. It's got a win rating of 8. Dark, I do not. Well, I have a better battery. I take a spare battery with me just in case. I need the second. I don't have a problem with the alternator, but I do need to have another battery just in case I lose power. I thought about that. Me and Phil were going to buy one on the way to Idalia, but we forgot. We ended up going to Hooters. Oh, Beth, it was a long week. I didn't even, yeah, my hair was a mess. I got this new hat from my Tiger Dam buddy. I shared Tiger Dam stuff the other day, and Bradenton Police Department was putting up one of their portable dams around the Bradenton Police Department. And that, Bradenton Police posted the Manatee Memorial Hospital was putting up one of their Tiger Dams around the hospital, which was so surreal for me because that's where I was born. I'm like, oh my God, Tiger Dam, Manatee Hospital, that's my turf. So anyway, yeah, I got to do the dual battery triple foamer. The only problem is I put my PA siren there, so I'm gonna have to redo. But I see them out there. I think somebody runs an extra wire from the alternator, right? So priorities. That's right. Well, hey. So at this point, At this point, the only 2 unknowns I can see is Wiggles to the west, Wiggles to the east. Who gets that really changes the impacts a lot. And really what kind of waves and surge we're ultimately, coastal impacts we're going to see with these lowering pressures. I'm about done talking about the lowering pressures until the storm's over. Because I'm just fascinated by it. But the track's pretty locked in. Very, we don't really have a lot of outliers anymore. I mean, this is the point where things are getting pretty set in stone here. So we'll have new advisories out in about 30 minutes. And Maine is now in the clear. See, Mark G show, that is wrong. You're totally wrong. No, see, even with a Bay of Fundy landfall or Nova Scotia, this system is still wide, right? Expecting a lot of rain, a lot of flooding rains, several inches of rain, power outages they're really worried about, and coastal impacts they're really worried about. So no, Maine is not out of the woods at all. No, no, no. All right. Well, it's been an hour. Listen, I appreciate your support, everybody. We've been doing this leave forever. Oh, my God. We're not going to be live tonight because things are getting pretty solid. We're not worried about Invest 97 for anybody but Bermuda right now, so we're going to really be watching that for Bermuda. Still a week away from there, but close enough to really start talking about it. And as far as everything else goes, I don't see any yet popping. I hope, man. I want to be able to go to Talladega so bad, but I bought Starlink just in case. Southeast, that's okay, buddy. Whatever that meant, I didn't see it. 29 minutes away. Well, Mike, my plan is to get the battery out of her car. And I'm sure it's metric because it's a Honda. All right, so we'll be putting up updates. I'll put the 11 o'clock out. I do a lot of posts in the morning, as you can tell. So I always suggest go back and look at the post. I try to cover all weather in the mornings. So, if there's a few hours that go by I don't post, likely it's because I posted already about it before our live. So I usually go to town about 5:36 to 9, post a lot, take a little break between, noon to 4 because I got to do other things. So, and I'll let you know about storm chasing. I'm still 50-50. I don't know what we're going to do yet. God. So, it's awfully expensive, too. And I really don't want to miss Emily's softball, so. But I also don't want to miss the storm, and I don't want to miss my drone. I want to see some lighthouses because I've never seen that area. And Dennis Phillips was texting me. He's like, go, man, it's only one weekend. I'm like, thanks, Dennis. All right, we'll see you probably tomorrow. If I go storm chasing, we might do a live from the hotel. So stay tuned for that. Nothing tonight. So have a great day, all right, everybody?